I was 16 years old when I first started playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I was so embarrassed by playing such a nerdy game that I wouldn't let any of my friends talk about it in public. If they really needed to, we had a code word. We used to call it eating Doritos. But as I got older, I stopped being embarrassed by my hobby. And nearly a decade later, I've learned so much about the game, I've pretty much become that annoying sports guy in the office who won't quite stop talking about how Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. So lean in, give me a few moments, and I'll tell you about some social and psychological benefits of Dungeons and Dragons, and see if I can't convince you to join me. The single most important and first thing that has to be said is that it's fun. When was the last time, as a grown adult, that you and your friends got together and hung out without any alcohol? I do it every weekend. But I am a guy with nerd tattoos, so I may seem biased, which I am. So I'll be referencing Critical Role, which is a YouTube channel based around a Dungeons & Dragons campaign. This YouTube channel currently has nearly 700,000 subscribers. And according to Statista.com, that is nearly as many people who watch some prime-time television channels. With that many people watching other people play the game, can you really imagine how great it must be to play it yourself? But we also have a great opportunity here to fight one of the social epidemics growing in our country. According to Ofcom's Children and Parents Media Use and Attitudes Report of 2018, 12 to 15-year-old kids are spending nearly 50 hours a week, 50, watching TV, playing video games, and just going online. That's 41% of their total waking hours in that week. The dangerous thing about that is I believe it pulls kids apart. And that's where my game comes in. That's 4 to 6 hours a week where the kids aren't on their phone, where they have to rely on their mind and their creativity and their friends to entertain them. Give them a real social life. But let's say none of this applies to you. Say that you see your friends in person all the time and that you don't use too much technology. Then let's talk about some of the psychological benefits that Dungeons and Dragons may have. We all understand how important it is to be able to express yourself. We also all understand that the world is full of terrible people who love to judge you. When you're playing Dungeons & Dragons, you're usually just with your best friends. So you can be yourself without any judgment. In a fireside chat with Sam Riegel, a cast member from Critical Role, a fan tells Sam that his character in the show is loved by the trans community just because of her story. Now, Mr. Riegel denies that was his intention while creating him. However, I think it illustrates my point perfectly. You can introduce aspects into a character that you're playing that you want to introduce in real life. However, you don't have to face the real life consequences like rejection or reprisal that you would if you try to do it in the actual life. This sort of leads into my next point, which is D&D therapy. In a BBC article written by Catriona White, Miss White writes about Adam Davis in the nonprofit he founded, Wheelhouse Workshop, which works with D&D as therapy. Going through the article, they have a number of examples, and one of which is about a shy kid who plays a very loud character. Now, because it is a small group, he is able to sort of inch his way into it. He's able to be a little bit louder, a little bit more expressive, but all the while, he has this character as a mental defense. It's not him doing it, it's the character. Think of it the same way that we give speeches. We are in a speech class, a safe environment of people trying to learn it. In the same way that we can be a little bit better, the kid can be a little bit more loud, a little bit less shy. Now, as we approach the end of my speech, I do want to apologize to the game. I believe it is one of the greatest forms of entertainment that we have in this generation. It is difficult to capture the spirit in a speech. So the next few days, I'd like you to think about how much time that you spend with other people in person. How much better that time is spent than looking at a screen. Think about all the little things that we don't do for fear of being judged. Think about all the little anxieties that we like to work on. Finally, think about playing Dungeons and Dragons. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful night.